What is up, everybody? This is Laugh Reviews, and I am going to be reviewing Whale Wars Season 5, Episode 4. If you remember, in the last episode, the fast ship, the Brigitte Bardot, got a huge crack in one of the sterns, and the Bob Barker had to come down and help them. Well, the Bob Barker left with part of the crew to go after the Japanese whalers, and the Steve Irwin came down. So in this episode, the Bob Barker, the only ship now left, is off to go find the whole Japanese whalers and the mothership. So in this episode, they show the Bob Barker scanning all over the place, looking all over the place for whalers, and then one blip in the radar they see, and then another, and all of a sudden they see a lot of ships all over. And one ship starts following them, and they determine that it's one of the Japanese whalers. So it's going to be almost impossible for them to find the mothership where they transport the whales if they have a tail relaying the position where they are to the rest of the fleet of the Japanese whalers. So what they do is they launch the small boats, the small inflatable boats, to try to stop that ship from following them. And what they do is they do something called a prop foul, where they get a huge, big, long rope and throw it over in hopes that it gets tangled up by the propellers of the big ship. It has worked in the past. So then they go and launch the boats to try to stop the ship. So then the small boat called the Gemini goes and launches a really thin piece of rope in hopes that it'll get tangled up where a big rope can't reach, but it didn't work. So then they use a huge rope full of metal too, and they throw that over and it stops the ship. I just want to say, can you imagine being in Antarctica in a small boat, inflatable boat, and looking up and seeing a huge harpoon whaler ship with water cannons shooting at you, and you're just looking up at this behemoth in this small boat and throwing over a rope and waves crashing up all over. Yeah, man, that's crazy. So then when the ship stops, the Bob Barker bulls, they just go full speed ahead to try to get away from that ship and its tail. And then, ladies and gentlemen, just when things are looking up, when they're running away, one of the engines stops and it starts spewing out whatever oil or fuel, and they have no other choice than to stop and have it repaired. So they are dealing with that, and then they cut to what the Steve Irwin and the Brigitte Bardot are doing, and the Steve Irwin is trying to escort the Brigitte Bardot to a dock so they can repair it. But of course, the waves, the ocean, the weather is not looking good, and there's a few people still on the Brigitte Bardot tying it up, putting ropes all around it to try to secure it. And that factory ship that stopped started turning and coming towards the disabled Bob Barker. And then, ladies and gentlemen, finally the Bob Barker's crew manages to get the engine up and running, and the small boat, the Gemini, again does a prop foul. They throw a big, huge, long rope over in hope that it will get tangled up, and it stops the ship again. And this time what they try to do is attach a huge, long steel chain to the ship in hopes that it will get tangled up in the propeller. All the while, water cannons are shooting directly at them. But the rope didn't stick, and the water cannons that they were shooting them with were so powerful it knocked out their radar, totally broke it. And on top of all that, the boat starts moving again. So then the crack of the Brigitte Bardot gets as wide, as big as possible, and the only thing holding the ship together is straps and rope. So they put the call to the Steve Irwin to have them send out a small boat to get 5 members from their crew, because it could literally just fall apart at any second. So they do that. They launch a small boat, and just as they're launching the small boat, the Japanese whaler ship that is following them starts coming towards them even faster. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the episode ends with the captain, Paul Watson, saying, maybe the only chance of losing this ship that's following us is if we board the ship. And they show about 3 people boarding the Japanese whaler ship. It looks like the next episode is going to be really, really awesome. For those who have been watching this, if you remember, the last person to board the ship was Pete Bethune, the captain of the Audi Gill, that was cut in half by actually the same ship that is following them. So I'm looking forward to the next episode. That show is just awesome. Thank you for watching. Check out my other videos, and I'll catch all of you guys later.